Hey everybody, it's Jax again from the Popcorn Review Podcast. Today's going to be my episode 43 here. It's going to be AEW Dynamite after All In. So if you guys haven't watched All In, please do. It was an amazing show. There was a bunch of matches, but it told a lot of stories. Hangman finally won. Tony Storm actually retained. We have a new TNT champion with Dustin Rhodes. That was a weird one there. You have a lot going on. A huge show. If you guys have not watched it, please do so. I believe, if not mistaken, you can find the recap on Amazon Prime, which is kind of nice because you can actually pause Amazon if you have to step away from it and come back. So it was actually pretty nice that I was able to pause it, go make dinner, come back, and finish out watching the show. So that was pretty cool. But let's get into it. Tony Schiavone does call Hangman Adam Page to the ring, and he comes, wearing the AEW World Championship. It's been a long time since we've seen that title. Um, and as soon as he gets to the ring, you hear cowboy shit. You deserve it. And he kind of, for a moment there, kind of told the fans, like, hey, thank you. I do deserve this, but you guys deserve it too. You guys deserve to see a champion who's willing to fight for this company. You guys deserve to see the title that everybody wants in this company. And, he started going down a laundry list of people. He's like, I want to start off by thanking the fans. Because of you, I am where I am today. I want to thank Orange Cassidy. He said, I want to thank Jay White. I want to thank Adam Copeland. He was like, I want to thank the Ops, Brian Danielson. He said, Darby Allin, Will Ospreay. And then he kind of froze for a little bit. He goes, and I even want to thank Swerve. So it looks like the two of them kind of chopped it up, and it is what it is. They're going their separate ways. Of course, I see them having a title, especially if Hangman holds this for a long period of time. I see them going at it, maybe just a friendly competition, but I definitely see that happening. But the biggest thing from this all is pretty much, Hangman at the end of his promo, very emotional promo again. He says, "I am the fucking champion of the world." Perfectly said. Perfectly said. The last run he had was a little stale, was a little boring, but it was booked that way. Hopefully he does a lot better this time around. It's just not that he wins a championship and then it falls stale. So Hangman, happy you finally won it. We're able to see that championship. NJF is on your heels though. So let's see how that works out. So you did have a match there with the Proto Star, Kyle Fletcher versus Mascara Dorada. So if I said that wrong, I do apologize. But Kyle Fletcher goes after him. Once that bell rings, boom, he starts wailing on that guy. But to be honest with you, they both were doing their thing, backflipping, 450 splash, catching each other with the Hurricane Run off the top rope, 450 splash off the outside to the outside, off the turnbuckle. Like these guys were pulling all the stops. And yeah, Kyle Fletcher looks amazing again in this match. Honestly, I think the only reason why Kyle Fletcher didn't win at All In was because he wasn't able to go against Adam Cole. I honestly believe that that's the only reason why he lost. Yeah, it was nice to see Dustin get a championship in AEW. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they signed him for a few more years. And yeah, he won in his hometown of Texas. But to be honest with you, as much as you build up Kyle Fletcher, it would have made Kyle Fletcher's win that much more. Like instead of him just going against Adam Cole, now he had to go against Sammy Guevara. He had to go against Dustin Rhodes. He had to go against, Danny Garcia. So there was more people he had to beat after he won his number one contendership. So that kind of sucks too. He won the number one contendership to go against him, and they kind of screwed Kyle Fletcher in the process. At least in my opinion, y'all can think what y'all want. I'm happy to see Dustin finally won a championship in AEW. But at the same time, it didn't have to be the expense of Kyle Fletcher. You've been building him up as this dominant heel, this dominant force, this dominant factor, and then you kind of screwed him. Again, you kind of screwed Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher should have been the new TNT championship. Enough said. I will say though, Kyle Fletcher, starts to lose a little bit during the match, and then finally comes back with a super heavy hitting brain buster and takes the win there. Kyle Fletcher looks at the camera and says, Dustin, you took something from me, and I'm coming for you. I'm taking everything. So he's putting Dustin on notice. And to be honest with you, yeah, Dustin's been wrestling pretty good. He's an older guy, but Kyle Fletcher is the future. And I definitely see him dropping to Kyle maybe at Forbidden Door, or maybe just on a random Wednesday or Saturday night. I don't see Dustin Rhodes holding that long term. I think it was more of a thank you, Dustin, for staying with the company, and thank you for helping us build the future. But Kyle Fletcher is the future of AEW. I see him win that TNT championship very, very soon. Now, as all you guys know, at least if you guys watch All In, the Bucks no longer have their EVP status. So the last few episodes, they were showing up in stretch limousines, they were showing up in, helicopters, whatever the case was. Well, this time, from what the commentary team said, they showed up in an Uber, got dropped off in like a Nissan Sentra or some type of Nissan, and they were embarrassed. Like, get the camera out of my face, get the camera out of my face. And they were just straight up embarrassed. Now, a few moments later, you actually see one of the interviewers try to get an interview with them. It's like, oh, we're just looking for our dressing room. And it kind of had them going downstairs, almost as if they were going to the basement. And right before they got there, they had a guy that worked, I guess, in the back. And he crossed off the EVP name off of their locker room and put, instead of Matthew and Nicholas, just put Nick and Matt and crossed out EVP. Like, come on, man, what's going on? But then you have Ricochet and the Gates of Agony come and just kind of like look at him, like pretty much you ain't shit. And then they're like, yo, we just teamed with you last week. But they have no respect for nobody. Marina Shafir looked them off. Now you got Ricochet and his crew. But you did have Don Callis kind of tell him, like, hey, we don't got to join together, but we could work together. And then that's what the Bucks told him. He's like, yeah, we will never join your family, but we can definitely have a partnership. So in the future, you are going to have some type of Don Callis and the Bucks joined forces, maybe during a stadium stampede or something in the future, but we'll see. The Bucks were getting no respect, like I said. You did have again. You did have a small segment there that was actually recorded from All In. After MJF won his contract for the World Championship, and the the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Sheldon retained. They're pretty much talking about, MVP's like, who's next? We beat everybody. Who's next? Somebody please come and take these titles from me. Like I mentioned before, it's probably going to be Will and Swerve. I don't see them going after Hangman just yet. I think Hangman needs a heel. Not sure who. Maybe he'll fight Takeshita or somebody from the Don Callis family, but we'll see. And MJF pretty much put Hangman on notice, like, hey, I'm kind of glad you beat Moxley because I don't got to worry about Dick the Hitter John and his goon squad. But I know I can beat. So just let you know, this is going to be a lot sweeter when I take the championship from you. So he's already talking shit to Hangman, saying that he's going to take the championship, that he's happy that that he's happy that that happened. Well, right after that, you did have a match with Hechicero, Josh Alexander, and the Bucks from the Don Callis family versus Jet Speed, Bandito, and Brody King. Brody King and Bandito seem to be having a nice little partnership there. They got their own little handshake. Jet Speed's been having their handshake. This match was crazy. Alexander and Brody King started off the match, and I'm laughing because they were actually, Shawn Alexander's a much smaller guy than Brody. He's kind of like slapping his chest or whatever, and Brody King's just eating that shit. And finally, he takes his straps off like he about to do something, and Brody King slaps the shit out of his back, and he puts the straps back on and tries to tag out. But when he goes to tag out, he looks to the side of where the Bucks are, and they were like, nah, we ain't want no fucking part of that. And he jumped up off the apron, so now he has to tag in Hechicero. But guys, this match was really good. Um, Jet Speed was doing a thing with the Bucks. I'll hopefully in the future get Jet Speed versus the Bucks just 2-on-2. That's gonna be a crazy ass match because all four of them are acrobatic as hell. All four of them could tell a story in the ring. That's gonna be a good match if they ever come down to just the four of them wrestling. The Bucks still look good, even though with no respect. You know what? I missed something. When the Bucks came out, they had their regular music playing about they were EVPs and all that. it actually got turned off and said no longer EVPs, Matt and Nick Jackson. It was just a black screen and no music, no pyro, no nothing. So that, like I said, they got no fucking respect last night. But again, to go back to the match, um, the Bucks and the Don Callis family actually win. You know, it was a hard hitting match. The one thing that was happening during the match, though, right before the Bucks hit the EVP trigger, they go like EVP. Wait, what do we call it now? And it kind of like froze in place and everything got the move off. The Bucks and the Don Callis family do win the match, but the Bucks are still trying to find out who the fuck they are. So we'll see. Don't know if they'll ever join the Don Callis family fully, or this is straight up just a partnership between the two groups there. But the Bucks are lost. They don't know what to do, and people are not respecting the Bucks at all. So it's actually funny, to be honest. It was the Bucks had just things going on left and right. How they showed up in the Uber, how they were being disrespected with the locker room, and then where they were being disrespected when they came out of for their entrance. Just all funny all around. Um, you did have rated R Adam Copeland or Cope. You know, I'm not sure which name they're picking. Um, the crowd actually sings his song. You know, the song gets turned off and they continue to sing his song. And he was just like, wow, guys, thank you. I missed you guys. I keep doing this because of you guys. You know, just giving the props to the crowd. Um, but then he kind of stops and he goes, you know, I want everybody to know I didn't go to save Christian Cage. Christian Cage is an asshole. He's a narcissist. He's a piece of shit. He's, you know, just shitting on Christian. He was like, I actually went out there to confront FTR. You know, FTR put me on the shelf for 4 months. He goes, I've been wrestling for 33 years. And yeah, 4 months doesn't sound like a lot, but when my time's almost up, they took 4 months that I'll never get back. And that I felt that, you know what I mean? Like he's up in age. He almost had to retire fully, like, you know, he had to retire and then came back. But at one point they said you would never wrestle again. So he knows that feeling that at one point he's gonna have to actually hang up his boots and call it a day. So he's like, y'all took 4 months, and I'm gonna get it off your ass, pretty much. He calls out FTR, but Big Stokes or Stokely Hathaway comes out, and the crowd was shitting on Stokely, like what, all that shit, like just talking over him. Like they didn't want him to fucking say anything. To the point he's talking, and you hear the crowd almost as much as you hear him on the mic. Well, you know, Stokely goes, you know, you come over here with your buddy Spike, you know, and we had three anonymous emails that went over to Tony Khan. And because of that, it was now noted that if you get into any interference in the FTR's matches, you will be fired. So, you know, Copeland's like, okay, I see what you're doing. He was like, but you said FTR, you said nothing about you. And once he says that, you know, he pretty much spears the shit out of Stokely and leaves him there on the floor with no problem. You did say FTR, not you. So that's on you, Ben. Um, you had Mark Briscoe, you know, kind of get upset about what happened at All In, saying, you know, you talked about my brother. I was supposed to get you. I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to do that. I wasn't able to. So MJF, you still on notice. I'm still coming for that ass. And he pretty much called MJF a bitch during the whole segment. But he's tell MJF, you will pay for your sins. So we'll see. Maybe if he does challenge Hangman, Briscoe might interfere because we already know the Hurt Syndicate's going to interfere. Maybe Briscoe will interfere and assist Hangman so he doesn't lose the title. MJF will be pretty pissed about that, and then MJF and Mark Briscoe's story can continue. That's a pretty good idea. So we'll see, guys. You did have a woman's 100,000 for 4-way, which I know the guy's been having them a couple weeks now. And you had Tekla, you had Willow, Queen Amanada, and Chris Statlander. Good match. All the girls were doing amazing, to be honest with you. Like Tekla and Queen Aminata have great chemistry. Willow and Chris Statlander have great chemistry. They were all feeding over each other for a while. There was a couple sequences that everybody was hitting a finisher on each other, and the other person got up, kept going. By the time it got to the fourth person, boom, now they're hitting their finisher. It was just an all-out great match. All the girls look strong. All the girls look really good. But what's crazy is, you know, Tekla actually won the match. but she had assistance with Julia Hart and Sky Blue. So it looks like they're building an alliance. I mentioned Brody King earlier in the episode. Looks like Brody King, the Hounds of Hell aren't a thing as of now. Um, Murphy's not around. You have Brody King doing his thing with Bandito, and now you have Sky Blue with Julia Hart. So it looks like Julia Hart and Tekla are gonna make their own group. Brody King's kind of solo right now, and we're waiting for Buddy Matthews. I forgot his name. My bad, guys. But we're waiting for him to come back around because he's injured when he got hurt in Australia. So it's like you have this group fell apart. They lost their leader. They formed a new group, and within months, that group was gone. They're all doing their own fucking thing. But I do say it's kind of a weird dynamic to have Tekla, Julia, and Sky Blue because technically Julia is the leader in that group. Sky Blue's a follower. So is Tekla gonna follow suit with the group, or is she gonna try to take over the group, or maybe she'll cause issues in that group? So we'll see. Again, we're supposed to be seeing women's AEW tag titles. Maybe it's possible that Tekla and Sky Blue become tag team champions, and you got Julia Hart goes back after the TNT or the Women's World Championship. So we'll see. It's very possible that all three of those women could have gold in that group. Unfortunately, there's only two titles right now: TBS that Mercedes has, AEW World, which we know Timeless Tony Storm has. So if y'all introduce some tag team titles, that will give a lot more push to these women. They're already doing their thing. Let them shine. That's just my opinion, guys. Get some AEW women tag team titles. Do a tournament for them. Let the best team win, or whatever story y'all want to play. But you'll have a lot of tag teams. Like y'all have Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. That's one. You have Ty Mello and Anna Jay. That's two. If you have Tekla and you have Sky Blue, that's three groups. You can have Willow possibly join with Chris Statlander. That's a fourth group. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many groups. Or you can have Chris Statlander wrestle with Marina Shafir, and then Willow goes out, maybe teams up with Queen Aminata. There's so many women in this league or this AEW that don't have an opportunity to shine. Yeah, you're showing more women lately, but if y'all put some tag titles out there, you're gonna have a different group of women being shown, whether it's on Saturdays or Wednesdays. Let them go out there and do their thing. So you did have Timeless Tony Storm up in the balcony show up, and she was talking shit. Well, talking shit in Tony Storm's verbiage or vocabulary, because she always saying some off the wall shit, but it's so proper that they kind of get away with it. She told Mercedes, "Hey, thank you for making me a woman again. I lost something before I wrestled you, and thank you for keeping all of your lips clean." And we already know what she did. She kissed both of Mercedes' lips during AEW All In, which I was in shock. You saw the lipstick print and everything, which I was really shocked to be honest with you. And at one point, you had Mercedes actually kiss her back, so they definitely had that part. She's definitely at one point she called herself like a bitch. She called herself a slut, and then she said, "And the tramp is still a champ." So she's talking shit about herself, but she's telling you, "Yo, I'm still champion." I actually expected maybe Mercedes to come out and have a rebuttal, but she didn't. For a while you did have Tony Storm was just going in saying how again all her different weird things, and you have what's her name, Athena, who won the women's casino battle royal, which I was in shock to be honest with you. I didn't expect her to win, but she did win. But she's a great wrestler, so it makes sense. And she's the longest ROH women's champion, or longest ROH champion in history at all, men or women, if I'm not mistaken. So she calls her out. She says, "Hey, I got a contract here, and I can cash this in whenever I want." And she's looking at the contract. I'm assuming it has different dates on there. And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one with her minion, Zoe Stark or something, or something to that effect, something Stark." And like, yeah, that's a good one. And then Tony goes, "Yeah, when you're ready, I'll bend you over and take it from you too." So just I'm telling you, the shit that she says that she gets away with is just funny as shit. But we are gonna have Timeless Tony Storm versus Athena somewhere down the line, but Athena's trying to pick her spot from what it sounds like to make it sure that she has the best advantage possible. So that's going to be a decent match. I don't think we've seen Athena versus Timeless, at least not in AEW. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know in the comments, but I don't think they've wrestled. You did have a match there with Okada. They didn't. If they did, I don't even remember them introducing the guy he was wrestling. Like it was just like, oh yeah, he has a match, and this is who it is. Who the fuck is he? I know he's probably a local guy, but I don't even remember them announcing him. Like that was fucked up. If they did announce it, I missed it. But you know, he just beat his ass. I think it was like a 3 to 5 minute match. And this is the shit that I was talking about. That when he has a match, it's not great. Like when he wrestles Kenny, he looks amazing. But when he wrestles other people, it's just like a basic match. Why are you going backwards, motherfucker? I know you're wrestling this rando, but come on, show me something. Anyway, like I mentioned, Okada wins and then calls out Swerve. He says, Swerve, what you did to my friends was wrong, and I'm coming for you. And then right there, Swerve's whose house? Swerve's house. He comes to the ring. Him and Nana. Swerve dressed up in an all black suit with like rhinestones all over it. Comes to the ring. He was like, yeah, I did it. And what you gonna do, bitch? And then Don Callis kind of separates them. So we are probably gonna see Okada versus Swerve, maybe for the Unified Championship. Never thought I'd see it, but I want to see it now. Like, why the fuck not? Kenny not there. Looks like Kenny was kind of written off right now. Not sure if he's promoting that, I think, Street Fighter game or whatever the hell it was. But he's out there promoting a game right now. So maybe that's what it is. They need to take him off the air for now. But I wouldn't mind seeing Okada versus Swerve. We already know Swerve is going to be a madman. And Okada, hopefully he does a better match, because what we just saw yesterday was boring. But we are going to see Swerve and Okada somewhere down the future. Maybe at Forbidden Door, maybe on a random Saturday. But either way, can't wait to see it. So the main event there, you had the Death Riders versus Mark Briscoe, Hobbs, and Hangman. Now, Samoa Joe was written off, so that's why he's not part of this match. And I think Shibata's wrestling on Saturday, so that's why he wasn't on the show today. But regardless, Hangman starts off with Yuta. You kind of have Mox kind of hiding still, like he don't want none of it. And this match was straight. Nothing crazy. Um, nothing amazing. People got into it. People that weren't supposed to be involved. Hobbs started whooping everybody ass. Moxley pulls Hobbs' hair at one point. Hobbs gets pissed, and Moxley looks shook as fuck. I didn't get that sequence there, but Hangman does this thing. He actually counters a Doomsday device and just goes ham after that. Like it was actually pretty good. Um, the good guys win. Hangman actually pins Claudio, and they start getting beat down by the Death Riders and Marina Shafir. Well, out of nowhere, you see like a light turn on, and Darby Allin's up in the either. I don't think it was up in the rafters, but up in the balcony somewhere, looking down at Moxley. Moxley was shook. Like it just like stopped him in his tracks. So looks like we're gonna have Moxley versus Darby Allin, and you already know these motherfuckers are crazy, so they're probably gonna have some type of death match themselves, maybe a cage match. We haven't seen Darby, I think, in 9 months to a year. Happy to see him back. Don't think he's gonna be chasing after Hangman. That's what I'm saying. I don't know who's gonna go after Hangman other than MJF. Because you got Swerve now versus Okada. Will Ospreay hasn't said nothing because he was kind of taken out at All In as well, so he might be taking some time off. And you have Darby going after Moxley. So other than MJF, as of now, who's going after him? Who's going after Hangman? You see what I'm saying? So don't know who's next, but we know MJF is next. We just don't know when. But who's after MJF? I don't see MJF beating Hangman right now. It'd be too stupid of a story. You had that build up for Hangman to take it over from Mox just for him to lose it right away. But again, that's my opinion. Moxley looked shook when he saw Darby. Can't wait to see that match, to be honest with you. Don't know what kind of match is going to be. Maybe it should be another Texas death match or just a straight up street fight or cage fight. Because Darby Allin does want his get back on Moxley there. So I don't know, guys. Let me know what y'all think. Thanks for watching. Have a great one.